My name is Karim Haddad and I'm a bladesmith. I was first introduced to making knives by Thomas Gurner, who went on to become Australia's first master bladesmith. What really appealed to me about knife making was the fact that you use raw materials like steel, wood, bone, leather, and by working really hard you can produce something that's beautiful, works really well, and is a really functional tool. So knife making's changed a little bit over the years. Some things have been the same, but there are some new modern ways of doing things. New kinds of grinders, different forges, gas forges, different tools, but the fundamental principles have stayed the same for the last 2,000-3,000 years. I like very much Japanese style of making knives. I think their utilitarian format, their specific purpose of each different knife that they make is something to aim for. They have an elegance in their simplicity. Most of my knives have an organic feel to them. You'll find very few straight lines or harsh edges, but more flows that you can see in shapes that you find from nature, curves in leaves or branches, just a movement so that the knife itself seems to be almost alive. A lot goes into the production of a knife. Thinking about the person, the shapes, the wood, the story behind it. Sometimes bringing all those things together makes something that's unique. Often we're making an heirloom that will last multiple generations, to be handed down from parent to child, and have a story that builds up with that. That's more important than just getting a lot of them out the door. I really love the creative aspect of knife making. Being able to have an image in your head that you can work to become a reality is an exciting thing. So that creative action is something that really makes a difference. So many of us have lives that we don't create, we sit and we work, we push paper from one side of the table to the other, but to come into the shed and to know that at the end of the day you'll see a result for your hard work is a great reward. I've been collecting wood for over 20 years. Each piece has a story about it, from the person who gave it to me or where I found it, or some other particular bit about that. I put them away and store them in filing cabinets and shelves and drawers, so that one day that I'll find a use for them. Often I forget completely about a piece of wood, and finding it's like a reunion with an old friend. There's a story that goes into each handle. It's difficult to sell a knife for what it's worth when you look at all the time that goes into it. But that's not why you make knives. You don't make them to earn a living necessarily. You do it because you like creating things, you like making tools, you like helping people out, solving a problem. If we were to get paid what it was actually worth, the knives would be thousands and thousands of dollars each. But I'm just happy that they get used. It's very rewarding making a knife. It's one of our oldest tools that we use. It's something that can be used every day and it will last a long time. I like the coming together of an idea, bringing a kind of wood or a shape or a particular kind of blade that will cut in a certain way, and bringing all that together into an article that's both beautiful and also works really, really well. I also build them to last at least 100 years. The process of making a knife doesn't really change much, but the outcome changes a lot. That's because you're trying to get a different knife shape out of each piece of steel. Finding what lurks within is part of the challenge. The same with the handle. Each piece of wood has a story and a shape of its own. By using the same techniques, you can end up with very different results. The story of making a knife is just the first part of its life. The stories that it makes with its owner and the things that it does for the rest of its life are far more interesting than how it came to be.